Hello, this video is for all of my elementary art students. This is Mr. Lundgren, and I know many of you are stuck at home right now, so I'm going to teach you about something called the plein air drawing or painting. Plein air is when you go out into the great out of doors, you bring a few sheets of paper with you, a pencil, or some other art materials. Make sure you have something solid to balance on, whether it's a clipboard or your sketchbook. And you go out into the out of doors, you find something that is interesting to you in nature, and you have an opportunity to observe it from life. That gives you a chance to see what light and shadow are doing to the objects, and you try to capture what you see in the moment. You can either do this activity in your backyard or around your apartment building, or maybe if you're inside and aren't able to get it in the outdoors, I'm going to give you a lot of footage that you can use and kind of have your own virtual plein air drawing today. In a plein air drawing or painting, you want to go out into nature and try to find some kind of pleasing composition where you have good balance in your artwork, where you kind of distribute the landscape off onto, not all off onto one side, where you have kind of a balance of your images. And you want to find maybe some interesting subject matter. So I'll come in here to this lovebird aviary, look for an interesting composition that I could draw from. This is one idea. At any point during this video, if you see any images that are interesting to you that you would like to draw for your plein air painting, you can freeze the frame. You can pause your video, your computer screen, or your tablet. Whatever you're viewing these materials from, you can just freeze the frame. I'll be showing the steps on how to do a plein air drawing and painting, and then at the very end, I'll show many video clips and images that you can choose from for your plein air painting if you're not able to get in the out of doors. When choosing your location for your plein air painting, you're looking for a subject matter that's interesting to you. You're trying to balance your composition. You can have something in the foreground, something in the background, something in the middle ground. You want to try to frame your subject matter with nature if you can. Maybe there's a hill on the right or a plant on the right, and maybe you have a tree on the left, something that can kind of add some sort of frame or border to your picture naturally with images. And of course you want the attention to be on your subject matter, whatever that is. You can look for items with good lighting, where you can tell what direction the lighting's coming from. You can look for objects that have good value, where you can see a nice fade from dark to light. You can see objects that have good contrast, something light in front of something that's dark. You can look for good texture, lines and patterns that you can see on the surface of an object that give it a good surface quality, almost like you could reach out and touch and feel what something feels like. Look around, take a closer look in nature and see what you can find. Once you've selected the image you want to use from, you can have it near you. Either you're out in the out of doors or you have the photograph near you, and you are looking for the simple shapes first. Just simple outlines of the objects that you can identify. Maybe you see a circle here or an oval there. Maybe you see diagonal lines coming down or horizontal lines going across. You're looking for simple line and shape. You don't put in any small details yet until you've kind of blocked out your image with simple shapes. Once you've identified the simple shapes and have placed them around your artwork, now's the time you can go back and sort of refine edges. Erase some parts of your image. You can change the edges to give it a texture or a different line quality to help identify what the outside edges look like. You can look on the surface quality of the objects and look for other lines that you might add to add different line quality or texture to your objects as you're drawing. You want to pay attention to what your main focal point is. If something is the most interesting part of your artwork to you, you want to spend the most time on that area, giving detail and interest to that area, and the other areas that are kind of on the outlying parts of your artwork, you can spend less time on those areas, maybe make them a little more blurred, compared to your main focal point. We really want to bring attention to whatever your main focal point is in your artwork. Once you've refined your edges a little bit, now you can go back and start darkening the outlines of your shapes. Once you get them in the right place, once you get the forms the way you like them, you can start darkening the details of your image. Remembering to pay the most attention to your most important details. The details that are less important, maybe you can outline them a little bit, but you don't want them to stand out as much as your focal point. When you're adding color to your artwork, you can use crayon, you can use colored pencil, you can use drawing chalk. Drawing chalk is actually really easy to find. If your parents are taking a trip to the grocery store, you can find a small pack of drawing chalk in the art and craft aisle at the grocery store, and it's like $1 or $2 for a little pack of drawing chalk. And that'll work really well for this project. Otherwise, you can get yourself some colored pencils or crayons or any colored materials that you can find around the house that you can do a little bit of soft shading and blending with. You want to put in the darker areas of your artwork first, and then as you go toward the lighter side, remember to press softer and softer to help show the differences in value. The center of my flower, for example, will be darker in color, and as I get toward the edges of the flower, I can press softer and softer. You can try color blending on your project, where you blend 2 or more colors together. You press very soft with the colored pencil on your first layer, and then you come back in with your second layer. You press very soft again and see if you can get some in-between colors as you try to match the colors that you see from the image that you've selected. If you're experimenting with chalk, you build up the chalk a little bit. You hold it in your fingertips and go around and around as you slowly build up the color. You want to press down a little bit hard to build up that color. And then you can wrap your finger in a little piece of a paper towel. I know we're being conservative with paper towels right now, so make sure it's a smaller piece, and I'll show you how to get good use out of it. You wrap it around your finger, and you gently go around and around as you blend in the color that you've started with. If you put 2 or more colors down, you can kind of softly blend them together. And the chalk is going to be really strong at first, right when you go over the color that you've just put down. But as you go into the other areas of your artwork, it gets softer and softer, which makes a lighter value. So you can see it starts out with a darker pink and it gets softer and softer toward the edges. You can do a lot of experimenting. You can use a little bit of the leftover chalk dust on your paper towel, and you can use that to continue going over other areas of the image that might be lighter. If I'm doing things that have similar color combinations, either the pinks or the reds or the purples, I can continue using the same part on my blending tool. But if I'm going into the blues and the greens and colors that are different, or on the opposite side of the color wheel, I want to switch corners on my paper towel. I want to get a new clean place on my paper towel and wrap that around my finger so that I don't accidentally blend the 2 different color groups together, or you start to get muddy colors. You can do a little experimenting on a separate paper if you need to while you're practicing color blending and fading from dark to light using the chalk. You can go at your own pace. You can fill in the color as you see it on your particular image. You can use colored pencil or chalk, or any other art materials you might have at home. You can even experiment in watercolor paint. You can do a plein air drawing as many times as you want. You can do the same location or find a different location for a new plein air painting. And now for the remainder of the video, I'll let play a lot of varieties of locations and subject matters going on my little plein air journey behind my house, and you can decide if there's something here that you'd like to draw or paint, or if there is something around your area that you can safely explore around your home or your apartment building. If you get permission from your parents and if you remember to stay separate from other people, if this is still during the social distancing practices of 2020. If you love how your drawing turned out, don't forget to share it. You can share it with people at home. You can have your parents take a picture and share it with your friends. You can share it with your elementary school teacher. And I'm hoping that they'll share a few images with me so that I can see what you've been working on as well. Happy drawing and painting. I can't wait to see what you come up with.